Hello guys, we will be started in just a minute. For you in YouTube, we're watching this VOD, just give it a few minutes. I am setting up and then we'll get started. Testing. Y'all can hear me even though the microphone is off. Testing again. Yeah, that's what I get. Hold on. Test quality. Test quality now. Yeah, it's the same. Sorry, I guess y'all are going to listen to me set up because I can't currently mute. Okay, so we're going to get started here in a minute. I will have Facecam going. It's the second time I've ever had any kind of recording going. The other one was on YouTube. I don't do this during streaming games because I don't have the setup for this. Y'all are getting Facecam and audio straight from my laptop. It's going to suck. I apologize. Also, I don't have a setup in a space for this. You're all basically in bed with me. Don't think like this. Don't think like that. This is not OnlyFans. What the heck is this button? I'm not going to do that. As we get started up, feel free to chat, talk to me, talk to each other, whatever. Hello, guys. Well, thanks for joining. And here we go. It's going. Hello, guys, and welcome to my stream about my novel I just released. Was released midnight this morning. I'm here just to talk about it, I guess. Y'all can ask questions if y'all read it or whatever y'all want to know about my writing or my other stuff. I know I'm usually here on Twitch as SephirothTX, and I stream a ton of Fortnite. But today, I'm just Joshua Winters, and I'm just talking about the book. You can see here on this little setup, I got as good as I can go in. In fact, I need to test something here now. I didn't even test this earlier. Got my camera up there. I wanted to be as out of the way as possible. I apologize about the setup. I don't have a good place for this. This is my room. Say hello to my room. Behind me is the TV and my PlayStation 5. And you can't see the PS4 over here behind me. Over there I have, I think my top-down NES and my other PlayStation 4. And no, my PS3's been moved to my son's room. And over here I have a ton of either Amiibos, you can't see them either, or that Disney Infinity game. Me and my son played a lot of that when we were little. If I had y'all facing the other way, which is how I wanted y'all, I have no blinds in my window, and y'all and everybody would have been blinded. I'm wide enough to blind everybody. Y'all don't need the sun doing that too. But hello and welcome. get started here. Let me test this. Oh, that is tiny. Well, I can see it well enough. Y'all will have to increase screen if y'all want to see the text for right now. I have like 2 places to see the screen, the texting from. So we're going to get on in this. Again, y'all can send me any questions or any chats or just say hi or whatever as y'all walk in. If y'all are on YouTube, of course, you're not watching this live. But feel free to post down below in the YouTube place, and I usually reply as long as you're not a bot. It's one of those spam bots that have been plaguing YouTube for a few days, weeks, months now. And sorry, I keep glancing at my phone to make sure my manager's running okay. I'm not used to running on this thing, but I have my manager set up on my phone. Everything seems to be working okay. Coolio. And we'll get going. I wasn't sure how to start this, as I've never done this kind of talk outside of side talking in Fortnite. Sometimes when I play a game, especially if it's something like Fortnite where I can just play it and not have to pay too much attention to it right away, I can just side chat. But I'm never chatting one-on-one. Never chatted, just chatting. I've been streaming about a year now, and I've never actually held a chat like this. But then I haven't released a book, I think, since 2019. I guess we'll start with the history on the book. I have little notes here, but I'm so bad at following notes. We'll just go as I go and just kind of wing it. That's kind of how I write. That's kind of how I play games. Just winging it. Fight of the Moon came to me and us about 13 years ago. 13 years ago, I was with who became my son's mom. I can't remember if this was before or after my son was born. And we were together somewhere around the medical center of the city. And we lived in a small, well, no, we actually lived in a pretty decent sized apartment. The area you could get decent size for a decent price. It was like $600 for a nice apartment. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't like the nicest side of town or anything, and it wasn't the best apartments, but the price was reasonable and the place wasn't like falling down. So we were there and we were talking, and Twilight, I think, had just come out or had a second movie or something. The movies were coming out. They were popular. I wasn't a huge fan of them. She was, I believe. She watched at least the first 2. And she was like, you should do something like this, like a big vampire novel. And at the time, I'm thinking, I write all the time. I've been writing all the time forever. I have hundreds of little shorts I've never published and books I'm always constantly working on, even though this is my first real novelization upload. And I'm thinking, I mean, I could do a vampire novel, but since Twilight is huge, everybody's going to do a vampire novel. But I start tinkering with it anyway. And, why am I blinking? Sorry. My manager's doing something. I go on and I tinker with it for a while. And when I write, I work on like 5 projects at once. Have you ever seen those writing posts or writing memes, which I guess only writers might look at? There's things like, I should finish my project but start another project at the same time. Or, are you starting another project? Did you finish and publish the first project? Nah. And stuff like that. It's true. At least for me. I have like 3 or 4 writing projects at the same time. I just started like kind of working with a short story today while I was setting this up as we're going. It's something we like to do for writers, and it's something we do all the time. We just enjoy writing. It's not even mostly about getting it sold half the time, though that would be nice. It's about us enjoying doing the work. That's why we want to become writers. We enjoy the work. It's not the hell of like going to a job you don't like. It's staying in a job you absolutely love. And even if it's not like your main source of income, it's something you like to do. And if it throws you a little money on the side, well, good. So I toyed with it for a while, and it stayed with me for a few years, actually, since I started it. And it wasn't even, was it 2013? Maybe before that, because if my son wasn't born, it was like 2008-ish. And I don't think we were in the apartments in 2013, so it may have been 2009-ish is when we started it. Later on in my life, I got a kind of rough draft I was satisfied with, and I wasn't sure if I was going to really publish this thing, if I really liked it that much, but I sent it to my best friend, Jack. And hello, Jack, if you ever see this. And they did what a good friend would do, and they ate it and tore it apart and told me it wasn't that good. And it wasn't. It honestly wasn't. After that, I kind of was like, I have other projects. I'll put this on the back burner. So I did, and it went to the back burner. Meanwhile, while I'm working on books, I'm working at usually retail stores or a Pets Hotel, and I work at different places all the time. And I go to write several horror shorts. If you are one of the 400 people who read my stuff, y'all are familiar with Dead Ends. The Dead Ends are horror short collections, all increasing in size, with the first two being a mixture between horror shorts and novellas, and the third one being a mixture of novellas. And novella as in short novels, not the Spanish soap operas. Which I had a coworker get confused about the other day. I don't know why they're named the same. I'm going to take a drink just because I'm thirsty. Okay. And if anybody here watching this is new, hello, welcome, thank you for joining, and thank you for reading my books for the first time. Feel free to read the Dead End series. They're still free if you get the ebook version. They're going to remain free no matter what happens. If there's Dead Ends 4, another collection that comes out, that probably won't be free because I have to make some kind of money off this, at least to help with some side money, bills and stuff. But for now, and I mean forever, Dead Ends 1, 2, and 3, and Unsuspected are completely free. That said, we went on, and after a while, I picked back up a bite. I want to say I was probably I was before this job, so I was probably at the end of the Pets Hotel job I was at. And I picked it back up, and I mulled over it, and I looked over it, and I realized it wasn't something I liked. Vampires are neat. Vampires are fun. Vampires can be sexy if you write them the right way. I mean, go watch Interview with a Vampire, which just came out. Annie Rice wrote them the right way for that. But I'm not that much of a fan of vampires. I don't collect vampire books. When it came to creatures of that dark fantasy nature, when it came to being human or true blood, I watched for all the fantasy creatures, but I was really behind the werewolves. I am a fan of werewolves. I watched Werewolf and, yeah. I think it's American Werewolf in London, thank you, Brain. I watched that when I was a pretty young age, and the transformation scene in that was so intense, even for today, it's pretty freaking intense with the puppetry and the makeup they used, and it was really cool looking. And I've always been kind of behind that kind of werewolf, the monster werewolf, not the Twilight werewolves, so they turn into actual wolves. They're extremely cute, but I like the monster werewolves. Think American Werewolf in London, or Being Human's Josh, or the other werewolves in that one, or even I guess there's not that many to choose from. Cursed is one of them. I'm not going to say Cursed was the best movie in the world because it definitely wasn't, but it's got a werewolf like that in it. But yeah, the bipedal, monstrous, going to eat you werewolf was my favorite. So I stripped down the vampire novel, where I had the main character as a vampire, kept some of the backbone, kept some of the beginning of the story, and then I started writing a new story around it. And there was a lot of difference between becoming a werewolf and becoming a vampire. Vampires are more socially reclusive. They eat people. They primarily have to eat people, and if not, they have to find a vegan way to not eat people. So he'd have to struggle with that. A lot of little different things happened in the two stories. Like, there are characters that carried over to the second version of the story that are in the first version of the story that play a somewhat different role. For example, without giving away too much of the story, the main character's mom was a lot less accepting and a lot more violent to the vampire main character than she is to, I'm going to start saying Jason because his name is Jason. I don't know why I keep saying main character. To the vampire Jason than she is to Werewolf Jason. She becomes basically a different person. Like, the original mother was a little alcoholic, and she was a little more conservative, where the Werewolf Jason's mom is a little more centrist, a little more accepting, a little more family, which I think helped play into a wolf's theme, because wolves are always about a pack, about a family, about relationships. They don't have to be this social outcast that the vampires usually become in these novels. And there was a lot of big differences between characters there, and some characters that didn't show back up from the original form or were pushed to a different book. Like, I can think of at least one major character who made a major part in the original vampire novel, who's been pushed to the second or third novel, the werewolf novel, and will play a similar part. Sorry. Itch. Will play a similar novel in, several part in, like, the second or third novel, but will be mostly different because he's no longer interacting with a vampire, he's actually interacting with a wolf. So I started writing the werewolf novel, and the werewolf novel took my 7,000, no, it wasn't that, it was like 30,000. It was too large to be a novella, but it was a small novel. It took that vampire novel that was a small vampire novel, and it blew it up, like, to the point to where now I have 3 books I have to work on from that one book that's been divided into 3 books. When you add that to my series planned of 2 other books, that means I have 5 books in planning stage right now. Now, if the blowing up happens to the other 2 planned books, or these other 2 books that came from this book become larger, it may become 8, 10. I don't honestly know how long it's going to be. I do promise that no matter how successful or unsuccessful this novel is, if you're reading it, I will finish the storyline, barring my death. That is the only way I won't finish the storyline. I don't know how long it will take. I want to write as well as I can. And if I am self-doing everything, it may take a while. So I wrote it, and then in about 2021, I believe I'm currently at the job I was at then, I started doing what I call the completionist editing of it. I'm not in money, and I'm sorry about the light off my glasses. It's from the window behind you guys. It's the same thing reflecting off this. I tried to cover it with my buy flag, with my Sephiroth wall scroll. I don't have blinds. I need to get myself blinds. But you just have to pretend my eyes are multicolored like that, bright. But anyway, so in 2021 I started doing the final editing, and I worked at it very slowly. I wanted to make sure it was done, and I went through it several times. Like, I read and reread and reread and reread my novel and worked on it, and then I got an AI with it, an AI that is supposed to help with grammar and pronunciation and telling me what parts of the books might be better this way than that way. Now, it's missing another basic editor feature, where the editor goes, this entire section of the book won't work, you might just want to remove it. It can't do that. So I'm still kind of doing it mostly on my own, and that editor isn't perfect. There's parts where it said this didn't work, and what it said was complete nonsense, and luckily I'm like, no. And then there was points where it started acting like a word processor spell check, and it would do that sometimes, and normally if you go, okay, replace that, I see what you're doing there, that's fine. It would go replace the word, but towards the end it went AWOL, it would like howl on me, and by replacing the word it would replace the word somewhere else in between another word and not delete the original word or the word it was putting itself inside of, and it'd become a mess. So I basically used the AI as a backup of seeing what I was doing, and then I would just do it myself. That said, this book is completely edited myself. It's completely everything myself except for the front cover. I'm not going to say this guy's name right, but I do want to give him notice. So when I come to these novels, for Dead Ends 2, 3, and for Bite of the Moon, I do so with what little money I earned from my job or what I've gotten back during tax season from the government. All my own money, and considering I never made money off a Dead End series, nothing I've earned from there. Oh god, oh that's my manager down there. So the art you're seeing I've got from a website, and the websites, what they do is they have these artists that make these art, and they post it up there, and they're like, this is art's only going to pertain to your book. Once you buy it, no one else can buy it. Sometimes they're legit, and these will never show up again. Sometimes they're not so legit, and a mixture of this picture would show up in a different one. I usually get legit ones. I have not seen another version of my novels art anywhere. This guy's name is... I don't know if this is Italian. It's Giusy Diana, Giusyd apostrophe Anna. It's awesome looking. I'll scroll up and down here real quick. Let's get my manager back up while I'm doing this so I can see it's going correctly. Come on, manager. Oh, God. I'm touching the wrong thing. Hold on, guys. And you can actually see... I couldn't get this all to fit on screen correctly. It looked funky. And yeah, okay, it's working. And you can actually see he's got a werewolf, a werewolf howling at the moon, and this kind of cool 80s horror text right there. And I liked it. I liked what he did with it. He did a very good job at it. What is this I have? Oh, this is my alert box. Hey, quit clicking on things. And I got that from him, so I put those together, and I held on to them for about a year as I continued to edit and edit and edit. And then just a handful of days ago, a week ago, I was like, this is what I can do. I put heart and soul to this. I've done everything I can do to this without, like, somehow ruining the book. And this is the final complete edition of the book I can get without a, like, actual editor to come in and do work for me. So I put it out. Excuse me. And I was going to upload it, and Smashwords was like, why don't you do this as a pre-order? Pre-order so the guys get more orders. I've never done a pre-order before. I usually just put it on Smashwords, let them start tolling it out, put it on Amazon, let them start tolling it out. And I was like, okay. So I pre-ordered it, and now we're here. I went through Smashwords first. They are my usual self-publishing persons. They're the easiest to go through. They sell through Barnes & Nobles and a handful of other ones like Kobo and whatnot. And you can find them at all of their locations right now. I also uploaded it to Amazon, which I'm a little iffy about. I've had some trouble with uploading to Amazon. Especially when I tried to make something free. But this one was not free. I also was able to advertise at Amazon for a small amount. They didn't do much with that amount, as far as I can tell. I also advertise through Facebook, which does a lot more for that little. And then lastly, this is my first time trying with Google Play. I honestly, by the time I did my last book, I never used Playbooks. I only recently started using Playbooks, and the reason is because Google's kind of become an ass, Google and Samsung together. They don't allow the Kindle or the Nook app on your phone to purchase books from the Amazon or Barnes & Noble store directly. The reason behind this is because they don't feel like they get enough monetary gain from the Google Play Store, so Google's like, no, your stuff ain't going to pay us, we're not going to make it. Now, if you have a Samsung, even though Samsung's not owned by Google, they must have some team-up thing going with them, because Samsung's run with Google Play, and there's no way to really have the Kindle or Nook app without going through Google Play. So you're kind of stuck not being able to purchase items directly from them. So if you're like me and you use those apps on the phone, you have to go to the website to do it. I started using Google Play when they started doing that, which is probably their reason for doing that. About a year and a half ago, I hear my cat. Y'all want to see my cat? He's complaining. Hold on. Oh, I hear you. Where you at? Get in here. I'm going to show you to the world. Come here. You'll be the first cat I see. Listen. What are you doing? Come here. Now, I'm not in a very good, comfortable setup where I can hold them, but everybody say hello to Chi. This is the guy who bothers me all the time when we're streaming and playing, and you can hear him yell at me. Who is that, Chi? Is that you on the screen? There you go. I know, the table's in the bed. What's going on? Oh, now I gotta get all set up again. I guess that's a good spot. Where were we? Gee, you distracted me. Honestly, don't remember where. But yeah, I'm here now. It was released 12 a.m. this morning. I don't know purchase rates, what's going on. I think Samsung telling us about purchases from other stores is a little delayed. I would only know. Did I say Samsung? I meant Smashwords. I would only know if Smashwords. Let me turn to close my door. Sir, I know you're going to complain. We're going to deal with the door being closed for a minute. Nobody pay attention to my banks. Too much noise downstairs. Don't go yell at my door. You're on my bed. I keep distracting myself. I think that's all I really have to say about the beginning of the book. Now, I want to go a little to the book itself to talk about its characters or something, but I want to do this without a spoiler. Without spoilers in it. This is the first day. A lot of people have not read it. I don't want people to wander on YouTube, want to read the book, and then get a story from me and be like, oh, I don't need to read the book, or this guy spoiled the ending for me. So I'm going to keep spoilers out of here. And you and YouTube, if y'all could keep the bottom spoiler free when you're asking me questions or talking about it, I would appreciate that. But, you know, I'm not going to delete you if you do it. Just, ooh. If y'all do post something that's going to be spoilery, whatever word that is, I would recommend putting in big letters spoiler content. Choking on air. That way people don't get unwantingly spoiled by your comments. So the book itself is a dark urban fantasy centric to werewolves. I couldn't get all of that to fit in most of the categories they had in most of the areas. I think only Google Play allowed me to put that much into it. Most of them it's just an urban fantasy. But the front of the cover should tell you what it is. There's a werewolf on it, and it said Bite of the Moon. If you, yeah, you could probably figure it out from that. It's also the first of the Bite series, as you see down there. I almost called it something else later on, but by then I had this cover. I was like, I'd have to go back to the guy, and I'd have to get him to change it, and that'd be a lot of trouble. So we're going to keep it the Bite series. So it's a dark urban fantasy. It takes place in semi-modern times. It actually takes place during Obama's presidency in the real world, though of course it's not in the real world. But it talks a lot about the past Obamacare and stuff like that. The first book I wanted to be kind of introduction to this world. You get a problem. You get, I need to solve this problem. You get several problems, actually. You get introduced to the main problem of some of the arch of the books series. And you get introduced to some major characters in the book, but only the minor problem would get resolved, was my idea when I came up with this book. So, and actually, the problem evolved as I wrote it from the vampire to the werewolf to where something that was a moderate problem became the major problem. A new minor problem had to be created. And the big major problem was kind of made different. I don't know if that's even going to exist later on in the series anymore. Since it's going to be stretched out. It may be pushed down further down the road or maybe tossed. Who knows? So you get introduced, and the story takes place. So one of the things I wanted to do when I first wrote the story was something I've never done before. Not in any of the other novels I'm working on, and not on any of my shorts. Now, when guys write, when people write, they sometimes work themselves into the writing. Sometimes they're the main character. If you've read the Chlorine novella in Dead Ends 3, I kind of based my love of writing for the writer. And if you read any of Stephen King's work, when there's a writer at head of the story or in the story as an important character, he's admitted that's him putting himself in the story most of the time. It's for like, I think The Dark Half was all about him having his pseudonym, found out and exposed or threatened to be exposed. But so I thought, what if I base a lot of this book on the real world, like around my own life? So I took people from the real world and molded them into fictional characters. Now, the people from the real world are based mostly on how they are related to the main character, but not based on their social life. Jason is not a writer, for one thing, but Jason had some of my life that was going on at the time I started writing this novel is reflected in Jason's life. But he's not exactly like me in any form or way. He's maybe a little more outgoing. He's different in his ways that he interacts with people and stuff like that. Maybe he'd be me if I was a different person, if I was risen differently, or if I was more outgoing. I don't know. But he's not exactly like me. And as we spread out towards the characters that may have been inspired by other real people, unless they're non-fictional characters completely, like Obama. And Obama doesn't really get a character in this novel. He's just mentioned as the president. But they become further and further away from this world's counterpart to them. Jason's mom is, though she's no longer the anti-Jason she was in the original movie, she's still sort of a heavy drinker. She watches a lot of conservative news. She smokes a lot, and that's not something my mom is. My mom's not like that, and my mom's definitely not like the vampire Jason's mom at all. And a lot of people are like that in the story, where they're semi-related. Another one I can think of, Jason is a single father with an ex. Now, I wrote Jason like that before I was a single father, so that just came out coincidental, and I'm a single father. But Jason's ex isn't the most attentive person in the world to their child, and she seems to be just kind of standoffish with Jason at the same time. That doesn't happen in the real world. My son's mom is very attentive, and we talk all the time. But when I originally wrote her, back when I was with my son's mom, I wanted her to be something different, something that would cause tension and problems. Now, when I wrote her in the original novel, she had a much bigger role, but since the novel exploded, she'll have a much bigger role in the second novel. That said, when I wrote her, I took the motherhood with her son, and from our experience of fathering and mothering our child, and then I kind of mixed her with different fictional characters. Her red-hairedness, her paleness, and sort of her standoffish attitude, I actually based a lot off the mom from Family Guy. She's not as quirky or funny as she will be, and she's not acting. The reason she is the way she is will be explained later on. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but she's not fully herself, and there's a reason. It was explained in the vampire novel, and will be the same way in the werewolf novel I'm creating, but again, it'll be in another novel. She's kind of been pushed to a secondary character here. There are other big characters in the novel. You'll meet Felmont. I can't even pronounce my own characters' names. Who is a vampire. In the original novel, he is sort of a father figure to him, but in the werewolf novel, he sort of still feels in that place as a father figure, since Jason is also the son of a single mother. But he's molded away from fathering Jason too much, since Jason is a werewolf and he's not. There's a police force you'll learn about, which has a bigger role in the werewolf version than it did in the original. A completely new made-up werewolf pack I had to make with characters in it. Feltmount, I guess if I was going to say inspiration drawn from him is from actual vampire movies and TV shows. Eric from True Blood was a lot of inspiration. He also takes a lot of inspiration from certain movies that weren't vampiric, but had... shoot, what's his name? Gee, my brain is just like Swiss cheese sometimes. I know his name, just completely blanking on it right now. Cary Elwes. His kind of attitude and the way he talks is based off some of the Cary Elwes stuff I've watched in the past. I like Cary Elwes from Princess Bride to Twister to Saw and Stranger Things. A lot of my fandoms are written into this, especially with the characters. A character you'll meet later on in the story, about midway through the story, is called Leon. He is aware, and he is from New Orleans, and he still talks with the New Orleans accent. And he is an ode. He's a completely fictional character based on no one I know. Maybe, yeah, I don't know, not really based on anybody. Maybe it's slightly based off the African American character from the Dead End series, and I don't remember the actor or the character's name. I don't even think he had as a character in the book. But the one who helps the main character get back on and becomes like his best friend. But honestly, he was mostly made up to reference and pay homage to Annie Rice in an interview with the vampires, since that was based on New Orleans and helped open up dark fantasy for us. And honestly, that's the big characters I want to introduce you to right now. If you want to know more, read the book. You'll get to meet them all on your own. Now I have the Saw song stuck in my head. That's a good job. The story I plan to tell remains almost the same for the first 3 books. I'll take it from here and the minor issue they're dealing with here, which is somewhat resolved in this book. In the next book, the bigger issue, which is related to the minor issue, will become a more central point, because I've already introduced you to everybody you really need to know. Of course, there'll always be new characters each book, most likely, but I've introduced you to the central cast that you absolutely need to know. I've got you interested in them, maybe feeling for them, at least knowing them. So in the second book, we're going to be focusing on the second part of that problem, the bigger picture of the problem, as it becomes central point. And that'll be the big problem for the second and third book. The fourth book, which, wait, 2, 3, 4, yeah, the fourth book, which was going to be the second book, is going to there's big changes between the second and third book that will cause the fourth book to make Jason live in a different life, pretty much. He's going to be going through big changes that will carry on into the fifth book, and that's as far as I've gotten as far as writing the books at all, or planning them. But there's going to be at least a 5-part series now. That's assuming the last 2 books don't blow up like this one did. If that blows up, then we'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 books. That's freaking way too long, probably. I say that, but I've read the Dresden novels, and I don't know how many there are of those. Again, no matter how popular or lack of popularity these books get, I will finish out the stories. I always finish out the stories. And that's really, let me see something here, all I had on the book itself. I know there's a few of you here. It keeps popping on and off. I swear this viewer count here is terrible. So if you have any questions on it or anything, feel free while I'm messing with this. I can't see where. Let me look at my other stream. Okay. It's about half hour. That's about what I expected to talk. I can't see like a timekeeper on this thing over here. I honestly don't see one, but there's so many buttons and menus here. It's kind of weird. Oh, there's the timekeeper up here. Next to the glitched out viewer chat. That's pretty much all I have to talk to you about Bite of the Moon. If y'all pick it up, review it in store, that helps me. Even if you have something negative to say about it, say something negative about it. If you want to give me critique, and it's polite critique, don't just come on rant at me, feel free to come to my Facebook page, which I will give you here. Actually, if y'all give me like 5 minutes. My cat's underneath the table, probably wondering why the hell it's in the middle of the bed. No, I don't want to do that. I want to look up my actual, I swear this song's going to be in my head for the rest of my life. Oh. Where is... Ah, here There we go. So if you go to this Facebook page, this is the best page to see news for my writing at. My Twitter page is full of my other posts, which is fine if you like to see that, but some of them are political and some are put off by that. This page here on my Facebook will be neither. Jesus long. So that link should send you to a page. If y'all can't see it on, well, y'all should be able to see it right here actually. So y'all should be able to see it now on YouTube. Just follow that link, and it says WW. Add another W to that. Jeez, I can't actually. Can I not highlight that? There we go. Get a W in my W's. There's the actual link. Sorry about that. That link will send you to my Facebook page. It is my primarily only writing post page. You'll see me post my writings, my upcoming work, and just repost things about writing. There's usually nothing political in it. Usually nothing political in it, unless it's very important, and nothing really outside of writing in it. It's the safe space for my writing. If you want the not so safe space for my writing, that would be my Twitter profile. This is scary. Can I not copy this? I think it's www.twitter.com/ let's see. I'll go ahead and post this and then I'll click it and see what happens. This should be it. Oh, no, actually, that's not it because there's a dash. So, just like my Twitter profile. I said not Twitter profile, just like my Twitch profile. Geez. So let's hit that. Hit that and see if it sends you. Confirm. That account doesn't exist. Nice. What the heck? Then I must have changed that. Okay, so I do believe it's the one I had earlier then. I also apologize about the crap lighting. It is the best I could do in here. Again, I am not set up for streaming. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to put you my @ thing so you can just hit @ and see what happens. Yay, that's the right one. Okay, that last one I put was the right one. That's my Twitter profile. Along with my writing stuff, I will repost political nonsense and usually lately pro-trans stuff because they're under attack. So yeah. So that's my book, that's my writing. Check me out if you want to on Twitter or Facebook. I guess there isn't a lot more for me to say here. I did just mention trans stuff. I'm a trans ally. I myself am bisexual, so I am part of the Pride group. You'll see that translated into the book as a lot. Either the main character will be dealing with LGBT issues, or a side character will be, or both. It does pop up in a central storyline here in Bite of the Moon that I don't want to give away. Read it if you want it. I thought it was not quite endearing, but fun. I guess a little endearing. I don't know. But it is part of the central story, is struggling with coming out as several different things for Jason and figuring himself out. It's both shown in werewolf form and other forms. I guess I could tell you a little bit about my other works now. If you haven't read them, I have 4 other works. The Unsuspected was my first publication. That was a long time ago. Believe my son was around. Maybe 2013, 2012-ish. I had decided that I got tired of trying to publish through magazines and publishers. It was getting harder and harder for anybody even answer you, much less publish you, unless you had something behind you. The publishers wanted agents. The agents wanted you to be published. As time went on, it got more and more popular to get self-published and then to make yourself a name. So I put Unsuspected. Unsuspected was, just like all my other books, fully edited and fully written by me. And in fact, Unsuspected was the very first novel, if you get the red and black cover, where I made the cover. I thought the cover turned out fine. It didn't work in uploading it to Amazon, so I let their people do whatever with it and came up with a meh kind of cover. And that meh cover has overridden a bunch of the other covers. I prefer the black and red cover I made. Sometime after that, with the failure at Luxa Publishing still, I started gathering some of my darker shorts, and I put them together for a Dead Ends collection. My idea was, I'm in a dark place. I'll put together a collection that's about a dark place. And in Dead End Ones, you get introduced to some of my staples, which will stick with me throughout my writing. The West Creek City, the darkness, those things will sometimes reach into other novels, part of this kind of alternate universe stuff I'm creating or something, where everything is kind of interconnected with each other, but different at the same time. West Creek exists in several of those shorts, and will always be important in some way, and the darkness that comes from it and comes from Moonlight are also going to be important through several stories. I can't tell you exactly if or how they'll be related in this story series, if they are even part of a major line. I've always been toying with it, but it really doesn't pertain to it right now. But yeah, and then after a while, I think after a couple of years, I came out with Dead Ends 2, which I started working on after a short I got picked up dropped. Like, I finally got a short in somewhere, and it was one of my favorite shorts I've written. It's called Mind the 13th Floor. It's an anthro horror novel, and it was actually for an anthro horror collection that fell through. I was like, this one almost got a bite. I might as well do something with it, because after a while, no one else wanted to bite with it. So I put that in there and collected some more with it, and put in some more gruesome and darker series. That's where you'll find the Processing. The very last story on that one was like, I'm self-published. I can do the frick what I want. There's no editor or publisher telling me don't produce that. I'm going for gore. So that one, the last story there is a gore thing, but all of them are ranged between fantasy, horror, dark horror, things like that. And then the third one I collected, it was around Thanksgiving or Christmas time when I started collecting them, and I had written a cold winter themed horror novella, and I was like, I have 3 novellas sitting here burning my current computer memory up. I could do something with them. So I took them, put them together, and those 3 novellas together were larger than any of my other horror collections. So I published them as Dead Ends 3, and that might be the end of the Dead Ends. I can't guarantee it. We'll definitely do more horror collections and more short collections. I can't guarantee there's going to be a Dead Ends 4. I had originally planned it before I planned to release this, but there will be collections. As for my future, other than the Armful of Bite of the Moon series, I'm writing another thriller, sort of a political thriller, based around the Texas area that'll take you through different areas I'm familiar with and grew up around. I have a collection of shorts that I have already posted about on Twitter. I call it The Climax of Evil, which is going to be a political future dystopian. They're just a series of shorts that take place in the same universe, having to do with a political dystopia as fascism rules everything and certain extremist values become notable law. and what the law has to do to enforce those values, and how it affects people, harms people, and even kills people, and how the people feel and react to all that problem with how that comes out. And then I guess other than that, I'm working on several things, but those are the two big ones I'm working on. Other than that, like I said, I did start to put together another Dead Ends. I will continue to put it together with different little horror shorts. I can't guarantee it's going to be called Dead Ends. It might. I just like the Dead Ends name for my series. I don't know why, but it may be named something else. And that's all I really have for y'all today. I thank y'all for joining me. Hello, people who are over there. If y'all want to say something now. And then, hello, people on YouTube. Feel free to post below. Tell me what you think about the book. Let me know your questions. If you have questions, we'll try to reply to you. Unless it's, well, I'll even reply repeat questions. I don't have enough people following me to be choosy. If you have anything you need to know and you didn't make it to this VOD and you can't post down below in YouTube, feel free to hit either of those links I put up. DM me and let me know what your ideas or feelings are. Mostly feelings, or let me know what your questions are. This was my first live stream chat with Face, and I probably will do it the same way if I do it again. We may do it for every release. I don't know. I'm not as comfortable as I am when I'm playing my games because of the position I'm in. I'm literally hanging off the end of my bed here. But maybe I'll set it up better next time. Otherwise, I hope y'all enjoy Bite of the Moon. I hope y'all pick it up and try it. And I hope y'all get to read my other free stuff. And I hope you enjoy it, at least, that it is an enjoyable experience. I know I'm satisfied with the way it came out. I hope that you leave feeling like, yeah, that book was pretty decent to read. And if y'all like it, keep an eye out at my spaces here, Twitter, Facebook, for my future publications. I think that the next thing I'm going to write directly when I get back to writing is probably going to be working on the second book in the series, which I think I've come up with a name with, but I'm not sure yet. Like, I woke up the other day, I was like, ooh, this name was good. And I almost renamed the entire series that name. The name was so good. But I was like, I will stick with this name for this book for now. It's going to be part of the Bite series, but this book's going to have a different name on it, all themed around what that story's themed around. And I'll let y'all know how that goes and how the name comes out later. It usually takes me about a year to 2 years before I'm ready to announce what the book's doing. So keep an eye out for it. If I am self-editing still, by the time the Bite series book 2 comes out, it takes a while for me to do all this. If I make enough money off this novelization to be able to afford more, I'll get my own editor. That said, I did put down a thing on Twitter and I think on Facebook. My largest selling novel was 450 people, at least 400 and something. I think it was up 454 something. And if I had charged the same for that novel I'm charging for this novel, I would have made $1,200 something maybe, because I don't get the whole $5. I get like 3 something maybe. And that would have been a really nice chunk of change just to help sustain bills. So if I can make more, I think I said, let me see what I said. I don't want to contradict my own. Okay, so here's what I said. Price-wise, I had charged $5, maybe about $1,200 on my largest selling book. Not even a novel. It was a collection. It was one of the Dead Ends, where I had like 400 plus readers. If I sell one book, I count myself a success. If my Smashwords come back and said, "Hey, you sold one book," I'm a success. I wrote, someone read it, and they at least liked it well enough not to try and return it. But if I can make $5,000 before October 2023, 2 things will happen. I will get my first ever tattoo. Look, I'm clean. I've always kind of like, I would enjoy a tattoo of fandoms or something, but I'll get my first ever tattoo of this book. I'll probably just take the Bite of the Moon text here and just tattoo it on my arm, or a werewolf or something. I'll get my first tattoo ever commemorating this book. And every time a book overreaches or overgoes a new goal, a new book, I'll keep getting tattoos about the new books. Hell, if y'all shoot up the downloads on the Dead End series, I'll probably get a Dead End tattoo too. But y'all shoot it up to me earning 17K in 1 year, which, isn't a ton. It's definitely not enough to live off, but it's enough to impress me. It's more than I would have made off that one book. If y'all can shoot it up to not 17K, I'm sorry, I said the 17K book sold. I can make. I think I misdid the freaking. I completely did something weird with the counting on here. Math apparently is not my best thing. So I said 5K. So you know what? I'll stick with that. If I can make 5K within the year, which would indicate less than 400 technically, like 300 something sold, I'll get a tattoo. I'll spend some of that 5K on a tattoo. If I can make 12K, and I didn't write this down here, and there's enough call for it, or even higher, I will go ahead and publish a paper book version of this. Not going to go hardback. If this book becomes big, if this book just blows up, if I make like 100,000 in the year somehow, I'm not expecting that, but if somehow this book blows up, then my next book will come out not only on ebook stores, but as a hardback. But that just depends on you guys and how much you like it and how much it blows up. If my book stays as it is now and is okay popular and I don't get that 5K or whatever, that's fine. I'm writing mostly because I enjoy it and I'm sharing it online because I mostly want y'all to read it. And I wouldn't mind a little bit of pocket change to help me on with life. But really, I hope y'all enjoy reading as much as I enjoy writing and as much as I enjoy reading other things. I hope y'all have some young adult sit down one day and pick up my book, or young kid, as I was like way too young to read Cujo when I read Cujo. And I hope they go through it and eat through it and be like, wow, I want to read more of this guy. That would just delight me to know people enjoyed my book. And that's all I really want, is people enjoy my book as much as I enjoy other books. So I will be on Twitter and Facebook constantly. It's like my main social interaction with people. I don't get out too much. Otherwise, y'all can come back here to this Twitch or this is YouTube. Y'all can check me when I'm screwing around and streaming on my PlayStation. What are you doing, G? Kitchen? But I won't see y'all for face-to-face chat most likely until my next release date or some important thing happens. Peacing out, guys. I say as I figure out how to do this. Ah, there it is, in stream. See you later.